does anyone recognize this photograph? Where it is? Anything from it? The Wailing Wall. Good. This is the Wailing Wall. This is in Jerusalem. It's this is the only foundation remaining from the second temple that the Jews built after King David had already left. And does anyone recognize this? Big mosque. Okay, do you know which mosque it is? The Dome of the Rock, that's right. That is a Muslim place. And can anyone name the three religions that came from Abraham? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Okay, exactly. All three religions pray to the same God. They all have the same roots, and they all come from the same being or creator. This picture right here is from Genesis chapter 15. Well, it's not from the actual Bible, it's a recreation. And what this is showing, this is Abraham here, and God's messenger is telling Abraham that his descendants will be as numerous as the stars. Now, his main trait is that he's always faithful. That's essential to all three religions who believe in the Abrahamic God. Abraham was always faithful. He always did God's work. Now, the controversy comes in with Abraham, his wife Sarah. Sarah wasn't so faithful. Sarah didn't trust God fully. Sarah trusted Abraham, but not God. So as they got older, and this covenant, this is called the covenant that God made with Abraham, it happened when he was about 40, 45. Well, about 45 years later, he still didn't have a kid. So Sarah said, you know what? We're not going to listen to God anymore. We're going to playmaker it. We're going to do our own thing. I want you to have a kid with one of our handmaids. Abraham, he's faithful, but he's being told here, go make another kid. So he kind of just goes along with it. That is where his son Ishmael comes in. Now, the reason why there's a controversy here is that the son is considered legitimate at this time because it appears as though Sarah cannot produce the son. So they love the son, they take it from the servants, and they basically get rid of the servant. So lo and behold, about 5 years into this whole deal, Sarah gets pregnant. And that is where we're going to get our first major controversy, is that there are now two sons. They all live together for a decent amount of time. And then one day when one of the kids is about 30, that's Ishmael, and Isaac's about 25, God tells Abraham that he wants him to go up onto a mountaintop and sacrifice his beloved son. That's the controversy right there. That he doesn't say, I want you to go sacrifice Ishmael. I don't want you to go sacrifice Isaac. I want you to go sacrifice your beloved son. Because Genesis says that he loves Ishmael and he loves Isaac. The physical descriptions they give, it's a hairy man, and if you know that region, they're all kind of hairy, so it doesn't really help at all. This is where the main controversy comes in, is that the Christians and Jews believe that was Isaac who was taken up there, and therefore that's why they followed that branch. The Muslims, on the other hand, believe it was Ishmael who was taken up. What we do know that happened afterwards is Ishmael was banished with his mother, and they went into the Middle East today, and further into Saudi Arabia, that area. And Isaac stayed closer to Jerusalem in that area. From there, you get 12 tribes that come from Isaac, and Ishmael is also credited with 12 tribes. So, technically speaking, Abraham's descendants are all the Muslims, all the Jews, and all the Christians. So they kind of are as numerous as the stars. So God didn't really lie to him when he told him that. Now, what's kind of interesting about this is that Islam didn't truly start for about another 2,500 years. Islam didn't come along until this man, Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, came along and 570 in current-day Saudi Arabia. He was a merchant. He wasn't too successful, but he married up. His wife was pretty rich. Her husband had died, so he kind of lived off her riches for a while. In around 610 CE, he went to a cave. In the cave, he said the archangel Gabriel began giving him a message from God. He then went back and started telling people the message. The message was then written down. He starts a religious movement. This is probably where most of your education on Islam comes in, is around him. He goes from Mecca to Medina. He fights. He does the temples and all that. So I'm not going to go too in depth on that. What is important here is his religion starts to catch a lot of steam. In like 630, it's really big. It's really bustling. He's still young. He's only 50-ish, and he dies. He wasn't sick. He didn't get a cold. He just straight up dies. So the controversy comes in, who will lead this new faith? That's where the first major split comes in. There are two major denominations, well, they're not denominations, but that's the easiest way to think of it, within Islam. The first is the Sunnis, and they believe that the caliph can be anyone. Now, the caliph is seen as a political leader, and he kind of makes sure that the religious law is being followed, but he's more into the politics. That's about 85% of the current world's Muslims. They're Sunni. The Shiites, on the other hand, believe that the imam, that's a religious leader, he has full religious and political control, and there needs to be as close a relation as possible to Muhammad, the prophet. Now, they do agree that, both categories agree that it needs to be from Muhammad's tribe, but anymore the delineation is so poor that it can be anyone. So this is the major conflict you're going to hear about, the Sunnis and the Shiites fighting each other. It's in basically every religion. At Jesus' time, the Jews were going through a major split. Christianity went through a major split with the Reformation and all of that time period. A third term you'll hear is Sufism. The Sufis, they're both Sunni and Shiite. It's just that the Sufis believe that the way to get closer to God is by following his holy law, which was given in the Quran. There's a lot of misunderstanding, and there's a lot of people who think this has something to do with extremism. It really doesn't, and in more literal followings of the Quran, war is really looked down upon. Jumping back to Muhammad, when Gabriel was giving him the message, Muhammad didn't actually write down the message himself. The message was written down by some of his buddies that he retorted it to. There are some pretty interesting readings where they say he kind of would like go into like these trances and like he wouldn't know what was happening. That's just a little side thing. But the Quran, it's seen as this form or that form, and sometimes without the apostrophe. That's the primary holy text. It has stories that are from the Christian Bible, and it also has stories that are from the Jewish Bible. This book is a little bit different to read, though. The way they organize it is the longest stories are at the front, and it just goes by the length of story. So it's a little bit hard, because if you're trying to follow it chronologically, you have to jump around to like 18 to 42 to 3 to 5, so that's a little bit frustrating. Now, our next area of controversy comes from the Sharia. The Sharia is considered the holy law, and everything is gathered from the Holy Quran. Now, there's no section in the Quran called the Sharia. These are laws, follow them. What it's gotten from is they basically got a committee together, they read it together, and they said, we like this will be our law, this will be our law, this will be our law. And that's why there's so much controversy today.